Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our trading room. I trust everybody enjoyed their extra day off this week. The markets just opened up, and it looks like, well, relative to where they left off on Friday, we're gapping a little bit higher. I'll just go back here real quick to where the market left off here before the holiday. And you can see we closed at around 40.15. This was the Globex yesterday, just a lot of choppiness, and then here we are today. And you can see that's going to be a bit of an opening gap below the market. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they actually try to get into there or whether they're just going to continue moving sideways here for a little while, which is what I almost suspect will happen. We don't have a defined range just yet. Trade Manager says we're going to be leaving trend mode here in about 3 minutes time and then go into swing mode. So not too terrible news, but even so, a little bit of a soft start considering it's the first trading day of the week. I think I'm going to err on the side of caution and just kind of take my time here, even if it means missing out on a move. Well, there's not much going on. Even crude oil and gold are very flat. Just no buying or selling action here right out of the gate. Let's see, the overnight range was from down here to up here. There we go. There's the overnight range. So we're kind of trading in the middle of this whole mess, more or less. What I always cautious about when the market is ranging like this is the possibility of a fake breakout, where the market's just going to touch the top end of the trading range and then move lower, hit the bottom end of the trading range, move higher. Good morning, Jim. Jim's supplying us with some advanced decline numbers, but I do believe they're a little skewed because of that big opening gap. We've got 2370 on the buy and just over 300 on the sell. All right, so here we are now at the top end of this trading range. Okay, looks like the buyers are going to give it a go. We'll see now whether or not they can stay above the top end, actually produce a signal for us. Maybe something that gets close there to the trend line, which would also be near our hard edge. You can see the Geiger counter here. We've got some selling blocks. We've got some buying blocks. All right, are we going to get a buy signal here? Or are we seeing a test of the highs and a failure? There's the buy. And I'm going to cover below the bottom end of the trading range. And now we're going to see whether or not the buyers can actually hold on to this market or whether the sellers are going to push them down. So what are we? We're almost 7-8 minutes into the session. Come on, get up there. I've got my first profit target at the same place where the break-even stop is. And you can see they did slip us a tick here on the entry, which is making me think that the volume is off a little. All right, I'm not liking that they're making this swing here because that's essentially retesting the high and failing. So now we really need to see the sellers, or pardon me, the buyers come in again and press, and then that's going to be all the more reason for me to get more aggressive with my stops. All right, I'm going to take the tighter stop. I try to leave it below this low right here, and there we go. Now we can no. Okay, so the buyers didn't push above the high. We'll see here in a moment whether I was a little bit too quick with that, or whether in fact the sellers are going to knock them down and retest the bottom end of this trading range. Or whether they're just going to go sideways today. Well, see, that's the other plan of action too. When you've got a day like this where the market is obviously very balanced, you can see here on the Geiger counter, and where we're not getting a lot of follow through, the other course of action is to buy in and leave your stop way far away. All right, so here we got the buyers. They've come back to the highs. We've generated a buy signal right here. Rather than take it on the hash mark, you could take it above the high of this trading range. The logic being that if the buyers do show up and force the market out of this range, there should be some follow through. Right now, what it's looking like is it's looking like the sellers are selling the top end of the range. As soon as the market gets down here a couple of points, the buyers start to buy it up, and we've got this insanely tight little trading range going on. All right, so here they come. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the bigger stop, and I'm just going to hold this stop now. I'm just going to hold this stop and try to avoid more sideways trading like this. Come on, get up there. A little bit of a buying spurt here. All right, so we've hit the break even, and I'm going to force the trade to break even now. Oops, there we go. And we'll hold it break even for a while and just see whether or not we can't get some room here. Yeah, like Tony says, there's no Red Star news today. Nothing to get people too excited. Jim says the bank index and the DAX are both starting to firm up a little bit and head higher, so we'll probably see a little bit of follow through on the NASDAQ here, hopefully. Sellers trying to dig in. You see on this bar right here, the width of this bar, there was a lot of volume associated with that bar. So if it's starting to look like they're going to fail, that's exactly where I'm going to roll my stop. And they're starting to look like they're going to fail. Come on. Come on, you buyers. Get going. It's looking a little weak, isn't it? There we go. There we go. Okay, I guess I should get a little bit more aggressive with my stop and try to protect some of this open profit. No. Come on. Where'd the bulls go? Well, I could have, see on this big heavy candle right here, I could have rolled my stop in a little bit tighter and protected a little extra profit. I chose to try to let the market ride it out. Initially, I was running the great big stop way down here, just at break even. So we're going to see how that worked out. I'm going to make a note in my journal whether or not that was a good call or whether I should have gone with plan A and just held the stop way, way back. I'd hate to have, all that open profit get chewed up and get tagged at break even though. But right now it's looking like that may have been the best plan. So we got comparable signals here on the other tools as well. We'll start with the Falcon. So we had the sideways range. Initially we got the trend change signal / late filter entry right here out of the open. And we took a little bit of heat on it, but it never really fully reversed on us, did it? So the Falcon actually had a little bit of a cleaner signal than the Raptor did. And then here on the Eagle, this would have been harder to take because we didn't really see a decent test of the extreme. We did get a trend change, and in hindsight, we know that the market did eventually head a little bit higher. The problem is it doesn't really have that structure to it that we like to see. And here we are now on the Hawk, and we had a decent little first micro-macro cross signal there that would have hit our profit objective. These yellow bars spoiled everything down here. And it looks like it was a good call to take the profit when I had it, because the great big stop would not have been enough, not at break even. I would have just got tagged and left all that on the table, which would have put me in a foul mood. I try not to get too emotional about my trades, but that is something that does bother me. So huge sell spike here. Gonna have to be a little bit, like I said, a little bit selective given the apparent lack of volatility today. Everything seems fairly balanced. Oh, good for you, Jim. Jim shorted the YM at 96 and out at 65. So picking up 30 ticks, nicely done. And, oh, way to go. 3 trades today, he says, for 61 points. Okay, they're still tailing off here. So the buyers tried to put in a push higher, and now the sellers are taking their turn. Yeah, Tony says crude oil is heading down. Crude oil just making a little bit of a dip here, and that may weigh on the stock indices. Nice little trend change signal right here on the Falcon. And actually, you got an earlier signal right here, just a few minutes after the North American Open, the index open, I should say. Problem with crude oil, though, is because it's such an expensive market, it's so difficult to cover. Ideally, I'd like to cover up there. Oh, good. And it would have allowed me to do so. And there you go. We've just hit our high probability target. Look at this. The signals are printing on exactly the same line. So you had a couple chances to short at 29.42. Not an easy trade to take, though. That would have been a nail biter when this was printing, because we're waffling here quite a bit. The filter is looking a lot like a tartan, and it's almost as though the buyers are trying to press the market up, but the sellers did come back with a clean signal. If you were watching for it. Okay, so the NQ still kind of owes us a retest of the highs before we get too crazy about shorting it. A little first micro macro cross here. This is another one that would have been a little bit of a nail biter because we don't have a retest of the high, right? So I could see shorting here, but where do you cover? Well, you could just take your lumps early and cover here above the crest in the macro line. I would probably be inclined to try to cover back there, which, at 200 bucks isn't the end of the world. Problem is I can only get in with a single contract. It hit the profit objective, which I suppose is really all we need. So now we're back toward the bottom end of this trading, this more intermediate trading range. The day didn't start until down here, but it does look like the buyers are trying to pick it up maybe a little bit early. We have encountered the hard edge, and normally we anticipate some sort of reaction there. Gold made a little bit of a move higher here on the hawk. A nice clean first micro macro cross with exceptional follow through, and gold is just nice solid moves here. Bigger moves actually than what we've been seeing in the NQ. Might have to start focusing on gold more. So here's the first micro macro cross lower. We could cover it there. Gold is one of these markets, because it does make larger moves, I tend to double the profit objective. If you're going to go with the high probability target in gold, then by all means go with a tighter stop. so that you can possibly get more contracts in play. Oops, sorry, still did the wrong target. There we go. So if you're going to go with the high probability target, which is only 5 ticks, by all means cover gold very tight, because you can see it's nothing for this market to give up 5 ticks. And there's a very high probability scalp. Very easy on the nerves and pretty good for the pocketbook too. Now let's see whether we got 5 ticks out of the green bar sell here. I'm just telling you how great it is. Oh, look at that. The stinkers, they failed. You could still run a break even at 4 ticks. After all, if you're not going to get 5 ticks, you may as well get stopped out at break even. So had you taken that hit there without the break-even trigger, it looks like it would have eliminated 2 of my last trades. So, you know, unpleasant to be sure, but again, not a real deal breaker. That's the whole thing about controlling your risk. Very, very important. Muy importante, as they like to say in Mexico and Spain and Latin America, or most of Latin America. Sorry, I don't know the Portuguese version for that. And here we are, just watching the paint dry a little bit more. Almost seems like tight scalping with tight profit targets is going to be the way to go today. Just trying to get a handle on which way the big boys are going to go with the market. And right now there's no real clues. See, we had a little bit of a move up, and we got a little bit of a move down. So everybody pretty well balanced right now. Look at the Geiger counter. Couldn't be more even. We're getting some buying action though. Buyers are chewing into some of the orders here. And here come the sellers. It's not aggressive selling. It's not like when the Geiger counter is flip-flopping back and forth, and then pulls over and holds. See, it's like they're taking turns. Oh, here, you go ahead, you sell a few orders, and then the buyers will come back and say, oh, it's our turn. We're going to flip it over here, and we're going to buy a few orders. We're seeing a lot of overlap in range, and that's going to make things tricky. So we've got a buy signal here on the Eagle. We've allowed the signal to break, and now we've got a chance at perhaps getting in on a second push. Now, folks, this is not what I would be referring to as a real juicy looking trade. I'm going to show it here in the room just so that we can see how it plays out. What I'm hoping for is a retest of the highs and maybe a chance to get this trade to at least a break-even situation. See, and they slipped us a tick again. So that tells you that the volume is a little bit light. And Geiger counter is full on in scalp mode now, which we suspected anyhow. See, there's no follow through. And here they are trying to press the lows. See if the buyers show up now. Nope, not yet. So if you find yourself in a trade like this where you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm not able to show it to you. I was going to say, when you find yourself on the wrong side of a trade, you're looking for an opportunity to start to roll your stops up. I wonder, could I have covered this trade right below the low? No. It's too bad, because that's, I think, where we need to be on this one. Just monster stops. Okay, so now we've taken out the bottom end of the trading range. And spoke too soon. I was going to say, I suspect it looked as though, to me, see on these heavier bars, on these wider bars, it looked to me as though the buyers were trying to dig in. technically this is a first micro-macro cross. And technically, yes, it is a high probability signal. I think I'd be more inclined to take it below the low. I'd end up having to cover it right there. I'm going to throw it on, but again, it's not one of those warm fuzzy trades. You know, those trades where you look at and you think, oh yeah, that one's going to have some follow through to it. Okay, so we got the buyers respecting the lows here at 40.63. Seems like they're interested in holding that number, at least for the time being. Okay, this may well develop into a 4-arrow consolidation now. Or another sideways trading range. Yeah, Tony says the darn Hawk's not giving signals at the crossover. That's true. This first micro-macro cross came very late. We would normally anticipate it to develop somewhere around here. The advanced decline numbers evening out a little bit. We've got 2,000 or just over 2,000 on the buy and about 900 on the sell. So overall, the market technically still bullish. Okay, now we've got our 4-arrow consolidation. I'm going to leave my entry below the low. And you can see I offered up quite a bit there. I'd almost be to my profit objective already had I taken it on the hash mark. Yeah, it just kissed the profit target. Certainly would have been a break even. Looking for the sellers to finish what they started here. Yeah, Jim says crude oil is dumping, so that may take the stock index with it. Or, pardon me, did take the stock index with it. So looking for the sellers to step up here somewhere around the 40.68 area. If they fail at that point, then I'm going to have to, again, get more aggressive with my stop. Okay, last chance for the sellers. There we go. All right, so now that I know where the sellers are prepared to dig in, I can roll my stop and get ready to go with perhaps the bar high low if they don't tag me in the meantime. Scoundrels. Well, it's just that kind of day. All right, so the sellers have left the building. Here come the buyers. I know it seems like I'm flip-flopping on my trades a lot, but really I'm not. What I'm trying to do is, we've actually got a soft edge buy here. And very often, if the market isn't going to go one direction, it will try to go the other. Come on, get into that hard edge. Teeny tiny double bottom retest of the low type idea. And I guess this is going to be the market's second attempt to rally. You see, they tried to rally here, failed, and this is going to be their second attempt to rally the market. Why is that significant, you say? Well, very often the market will be stronger on the second try. Come on. Excuse me, if you look at a daily chart for the NQ, actually, why don't I build a daily chart for you to see rather than tell you about it? Okay, and we're going to take this trade to break even now because I don't trust them. Okay, so here's a daily chart on the NASDAQ, and you can see that we've got some pretty significant lows here, right? The market made a good push down and then tried to rally up a little bit. The sellers knocked them down again, but only temporarily. You see how this is one of these tall doji type bars? That shows you that there's a lot of buying pressure down here. And there's a lot of buying pressure right here. So it looks like this whole 4,000 range down to maybe as low as 38.50, 38.60 is a very sensitive area for the NASDAQ. So I would think it's not beyond the realm of possibility that we could see a little bit of a rally here today. Oh, way to go, Tony. Tony says he's doing good in crude oil, but due to his account, he can't cover where he would want to, so he's still in sim in crude. Have you ever checked out the mini crude? Tony. I think it's QM. One sec, I'll do a search here. Yes, mini crude, QM. We'll throw it in here so that you can see it. It's it's a fraction of the regular crude oil market. Of course, the earnings are going to be a little bit less too, but that doesn't matter because you get a little bit more control over your position size and you can cover the trade where you need to. It's a lot more liquid than it used to be. Traders wouldn't touch it for the longest time. But I think the volume is pretty good on it now. In fact, I'm going to build you a QM chart here in a sec. All right, so here's QM. I put it on a Raptor chart. And you can see it's, maybe a little more subdued than the big crude oil market, but that's not always a bad thing. It's going to follow the big crude. So right now the big crude is trading at 28.94 and the mini crude is at 29.05. It's something to play with though. See whether or not you like it. Oh, and I'm going to get tagged here at break even on my other stop. I do believe I did hit the first profit target. When you see these big fat candles develop though, remember that's likely a turning point. So that would have been a good spot to roll the stop under. Tony's asking, what brick size would you recommend for the mini crude market? I would start with the default brick sizes. And all we're looking for with the default brick size is, does the chart look normal? In other words, well, here I can go to the end here. In other words, you usually want to see your daybreak lines go at least the width of your chart. Something like that. Sometimes it's even just outside your chart. If your daybreak lines are like that, then your default sizes are probably adequate. If, however, you're getting daybreak lines like this, and you're going to have to ignore yesterday because There was the Globex and the pre-market kind of stuff going on here, so just ignore that. But so long as your daybreak lines are, about a screen width apart, and compare a few, just don't go from one or two. Then that will be adequate. Now this one is just kind of on the edge here. So we've got the brick size as 8. So what I'll try is I'll dial it down a couple, and maybe because crude trades in $10 increments, maybe I'll try 5. And all I'm trying to do when I mess around with the chart size like this is, and I don't know why I did that, all I'm trying to do is stretch out the daybreak line so that I have about one width or one screen width apart. I'm kind of liking the way this 5 brick looks here on the Raptor. Now, once you've done that, the next thing to do is to look at the signals. Look at your high probability signals and see if there's any follow through. So here we've got a hard edge bounce, and that looked like it had some decent follow through to it. And you're going to have to look at a few different signals. Here's another hard edge bounce. And are we getting a cloud crossover? Okay, so we're working on a cloud crossover. We'll see whether the cloud crossover holds. If the high probability signals are giving you follow through, and it looks like you've got at least a day on your chart, day and a half type thing on your chart, or yeah, you know what I mean, then that would be an adequate brick size. So always start with the default, although it's looking like the mini, you may need to tweak it just a little bit. You may end up going with like a 4-tick Hawk, a 5-tick Falcon, maybe a 10-tick Eagle. But yeah, the thing is, if your daybreak lines show up too close, like this is supposed to be the Hawk scalper, right? And yet if I'm getting daybreaks like this, how am I going to scalp a day like that? Or if I only get one signal a day, well then that's hardly a scalper, is it? So that's how you try to determine what your bar size should be. And honestly, if you're off a tick or two, it's really not going to be the end of the world. That's not the secret sauce, right? If you're not going to be losing money because you're running a 4-tick chart instead of a 6-tick. All right, so everybody just kind of wandering again. Oh, well done, Jim. Jim managed to pick up 9 ticks on that last one. Good for you. It's kind of tough slogging right now. Very tight range for the most part. All right, so we're flip-flopping here a little bit. Again, you can see, excuse me. Sorry about that, a little bit of a coughing fit. Um, you can see, again, a lot of sideways trading going on here. We get a run up, we get a run down. We get a run up, we get a run down. It's a whole lot of overlap, if you will. All right, so we're flashing a few signals here, but I'm a little reluctant to take them just because, like I said, we're kind of moving sideways here. That first micro macro cross signal that we're looking at, it did hit the profit objective. Hmm. Okay, a little bit of a short-term move lower here. Okay, so gold heading up a little bit, crude trying to head lower. And the NASDAQ now. The NASDAQ back here bouncing off of support, so again suggesting we're going to be moving in a little bit of a sideways pattern. Ryman's asking about the initial balance lines. He's asking how I have it set up. Now, the initial balance line is merely, it's this same thing as Jim's first hour high indicator, except it resizes, which is why I have it on here. But to my settings are really quite simple. So the initial balance, where do we want it? The start time. So you're going to set it to your start time. And I've hidden the extensions. So I only have the open range high and the open range low. And you set the length that you want the lines to plot. So from the open, from 6:30 open, that's my time, I want to plot the first 30 minutes. You can plot, well, whatever you want, an hour, half hour, 15 minutes, 45, whatever. But the logic is that the first half hour of trading is when most of the institutions get busy, right? That's when they do most of their trading. The volume is always highest during that first half hour of trading. And you can see here we are, we're down into the lows. We did breach them, but we're still kind of hovering, kind of skewered right by that whole level. And here come the buyers with a semi-aggressive move up. So we're going to get a first micro-macro cross signal here. We're going to get a trend change signal on the Falcon. We're going to get something resembling a cloud crossover here in the Raptor. It's looking like we might get a tradable signal. All right, let's see. As they hover around this 4076 area, whether or not they're going to give us a buy signal. Oh, come on. What's with that? Where's my buy signal? Oh, you guys. Yeah, I know, Mo. Mo says there's no buy signal on the Hawk. We got shut out on the Hawk here, too. Sometimes when the market is just kind of creeping along like this, it's going to be late giving you your signal, and it's rare. Fortunately, it's rare. But there's nothing we can do about it. We just got to wait for all the market conditions to be right for it to generate a signal for us. All right, so there's the makings of the first micro-macro cross. Now we're going to get that cloud crossover, getting a little bit of a pullback going on here. All right, I'm going to get more serious about that first micro-macro cross signal now. And are they going to hold? No, so I need to adjust that one. Now moving into a macro pullback. And I need to adjust it again. So there's the macro pullback. Possible late filter entry signal here now on the hawk, looking for a buy signal to come here out of the cloud crossover on the raptor. And the eagle is the only one that can spoil this. The eagle is producing a green bar sell, but I'm hoping that's going to fail. And then we'll see the market try to press higher from here. All right, so we've got the warning dot on the Falcon. Come on, Hawk. Oh, you stinkers. Wouldn't even give me my few ticks there. All right, so we're going to set it up here on the Falcon. I'm going to park that order, and I'm going to get ready here on the Raptor also. And we're getting another macro pullback signal here on the Hawk. So I'm going to try that again. Still working this late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. And are they going to spoil it for me now? I'm just watching the Raptor here for that buy signal to print. Come on, get up there. Oh, Jim knocking it out of the park. 5 trades, 132 ticks. Well done. Well done. Okay, we've got the warning dot here on the Raptor. It's hard to see because it's that dark green. I should actually change that color. There could be some momentum building here, maybe. All right, so we've got the... All right, so now we've got all our irons in the fire. And we'll hold our stops right there below this, the first hour's low. And we'll see whether or not we can't get some follow through now. All right, so we did catch a little bit there on the Hawk. Took one trade to break even, caught the other one. And now we're just looking for a little bit more follow through on the buy side. Way to go, Mo. Mo says, I got 5 trades myself at 12 ticks each. The Hawk is unreal on these first micro-macro crossovers. I know. It is a fantastic signal. Okay, so we're just hovering below the break-even trigger here on the Raptor and the Falcon. Yeah, I've often said you could make a living trading the first micro macro crossovers if you have the patience to wait for them. All right, come on, press a little higher. Geiger counter is a little bit bullish here, but you see how the dial is starting to swing over? Oh, there we go. That's what I want to see. And hold it. Come on, pull over there and hold it. Here, let's try to help it. No, it's the wrong way. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to even up my stops. So I'm going to move my Raptor stop to the 4067 that the Falcon is at. 4067 half. There we go. And I'm just looking for the buyers to get busy here to show me that, in fact, they are going to try to push the market again. Mo's asking if I got that last buy. Yes. Took this one here, the macro pullback signal, and got tagged at break even, then came right back in, and we got that one right there. I didn't take this one, although I could have. Tony is asking, oh, he's asking about Mo. Mo, are you using a wide stop on your first micro macro crossover trades? So good question. Are you using a tight stop? Oh, 50 ticks. Yeah, that's a relatively wide stop. That'll certainly keep you in most trades and give you the opportunity to adjust your trade as well. Avoid those premature stop outs, which are so annoying. Okay, we are at a real balance point right now. I was looking for a little bit more follow through off of that. A little bit of a move higher, but ooh, stinkers failed just short of the break even trigger. I considered pulling the trade to break even manually, but you know what? I'm going to just let it go. I'm not going to tweak myself out of a trade. I had my reasons for getting in, so I'm going to stick with it. We have the late filter entry signal here on the Falcon, which I know, again, is a high probability signal. Come on, you stinkers. Before I forget, I'm not closing the room right now, but while I think of it, remember tomorrow is Wednesday. We're going to meet at the open house room, at the demo room. Come on. It's almost painful. Come on. Come on. Here, we'll give you a little nudge. Give you a little tickle with the mouse. Get up there. Come on. Oh my gosh, you guys. So now we've got these multiple highs all in the same range. That's not usually good. Come on. Now they're just trying to test the bottom. Well, I suspect that the buyers are going to step in here again, but they're taking their time. If you're going to continue trading today, yeah, Tony says we need to buy quick drying paint. Oh, really? Wow. Tony also writes that in Missouri, gas is as low as 99 cents a gallon. Unreal. So the problem we're having right now here is we're getting a whole lot of overlap, right? We're just seeing a lot of sideways action. I'm actually quite surprised here that the hawk hasn't produced just a whole slew of yellow bars, but it hasn't. I'm thinking the market is still going to make another push higher, but it's going to take a little bit of time for it to actually get there. So I'm going to try to nurse this trade a little bit longer. Hopefully we'll see it resume the uptrend. We'll get another push to the upside, and that'll be my cue to start to tighten those stops. If you're going to be trading this afternoon, I really thought we were going to see more of a rally today, but obviously not. So, until we get outside of this trading range, you're going to probably anticipate the market to stay in the trading range. All right, you guys, remember tomorrow's room is the open house room at the alternate venue, and I'll see you guys then. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.